Hello everyone, this is Light in the Darkness. I hope you all are having a wonderful day today. Today we're going to be talking about the heart. The heart is one of the most important parts of our body, right? Without the heart, there is no life. This is the same thing in living for God. When we live for God, we're supposed to love Him with our whole heart, not just part of it, but all of it. If our whole heart is not in love with God, then we might as well not be living for God. In the Bible, it says that God is a jealous God. He wants all of us, not just part of it, but every single part of us. Most of us have heard the phrase half-heartedly, and I really hope that's not how we describe our relationship with God. We can't save part of ourselves for the world. We either have to be all in or all out. When we serve God, it should be with our whole heart. We can't save ourselves for something else and expect to be used by God. We have to make sure there's room for God to come in. We can't let our heart become cluttered with the things of this world and the things that we put into our life. If there's no room for God to come in, how can we expect Him to work on us and do a great work through us? What if He can't even get in? Then there's no point in it. We also have to protect our hearts from the enemy attack. The devil will try anything he can to drive a wedge between you and God. We have to make sure we walk and talk with God every single day so that He will give us the strength. God is our strength and our protector. So when the enemy tries to attack your heart and your mind, you need to plead the blood of God over yourself so He can give you strength and He will protect you and fight the battle for you. When the enemy attacks, he knows your strengths and your weaknesses, and he will use them against you any way he can. But when you pray to God and speak His name, it makes the devil really nervous because he knows that God can defeat him so easily. We need to keep our hearts because without the heart, there is no life. Today I found two verses that go along really well with this subject. The first one is Luke 6:45, which says, "A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasures of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh." I like this verse because it means if your heart is good, then you will bring forth good fruit. But if your heart is evil, you will bring forth evil fruit. And it also means that whether your heart is good or evil, it will eventually show through with how you speak. Because what your heart feels and what you're putting into your heart, it'll eventually come out, whether you want it to or not. The second verse is Jeremiah 17:9, which says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" This verse tells us that by nature we are wicked and evil. This is why we can't trust our hearts all the time, because our heart is deceitful and wicked. You can't always rely on how you feel. We have to pray to God that He will keep our hearts in line with Him and His will. If we love God with our whole heart, that doesn't leave much room for the enemy to come in and try to attack. Because if we love God with our whole heart, all that room is taken up by God and by the good things. So when the enemy tries to come in, he faces a little struggle because he knows that God lives inside of you. We need to make sure we love God with our whole heart, because if we do, that leaves less room for the enemy to try and come in. We have to make sure that we have room for God in our heart. And if you don't, you need to ask yourself, what can I get rid of to make as much room for God as I possibly can? God is a jealous God. He wants to be your everything, not just part, but everything. But He can't unless you allow Him to come into your heart. He can provide every single thing that you need, but you have to make the choice and let Him come in. He doesn't force Himself upon you. I don't know about you, but I want the Almighty God to be my everything. Because on my best days, He's the same God. And on my worst days, He's still there beside me. And He's still showing me the love that I didn't know I could have. I hope you all have enjoyed this video and that it helps you realize the important role that your heart has in your relationship with God. I hope to see you all here next week, and until then, keep on letting your light shine.